All right. Today we got the man, the myth,
Thanks, man.
and the legend, as I call him. Every time I call him on the phone, I start with the man, the myth, and the legends. Doug Jenkins, what's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Just ready to do this interview with you, man. I appreciate the fact that you're available today.
Yeah.
Over the years, we've had a lot of good work we've done together, a lot of good conversations, and
Yep.
I feel like we need to share that with the world. So just tell us a little bit about you as a mastering engineer. And basically, let's start with your background in music.
Yeah. I started, I think I was like 15 years old. I started working with like production beats, stuff like that.
Right.
And I sort of fell in love with the equipment. Like, okay, why is this guy, why does he sound so much better than what I'm doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I would get so intrigued by that. So I started working with like little 4-tracks and then like, what are all these knobs? And I just got fascinated. And then I went to school, and then the rest is pretty much what it is.
Right. Now you were an artist yourself for a little bit, right?
Yeah. So I started in the arts, but I think the production, I did produce, and then I did as an artist. And it was funny because I would send stuff to like talent places and stuff like that. And they'd always hit me back. They'd be like, production 3, they'd be like, yeah, they say like art, arrangement 2, 3, and then it's engineering, it'd be like 5. I was like, and then the guy said, man, who's engineering this? And I was like, me, and that's one of the record labels that I could talk about. That's what got them interested. And I sort of got humbled because they said, we don't want you for your production. We don't want you for your art, your vocals. We want you for your engineering.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I love this anyways. So that's why I started doing the engineering.
Right. It's actually kind of dope because I feel like sometimes we don't really know what we have an idea of what we want to do in life, but sometimes through doing that thing that we're not truly supposed to do, we find the thing that we're supposed to do.
For sure.
And not that you couldn't have kept being the artist on the microphone, but you found something and you found your way through music by production. You were better at that.
Yeah. The plan B became the plan A.
Yeah.
That's the way I'd put it. Like a lot of people say the plan B is usually your plan A.
Right.
That's what happened to me. I was like, man, I love this part. So that's what happened. Yeah.
And that's actually beautiful because that's how life is supposed to happen. And as I said, this episode is going to be, it's called Success and Suffering.
Yeah.
Because of things like that, how you find different avenues through your steps.
Yeah.
So, and you have a website, right? What type of services do you offer?
Well, most of what I do is a thing called it's STEM mastering, and they might change the way it is, but it's like once you've done your recordings at home, because a lot of people record at home now, a lot of people mix in another studio, a lot of people track at other studios.
Right.
So most of my service is taking like the vocals, the multi-track, like if you got drums on one, bass on one, and then I'm the guy that finishes it.
Right.
So, and then the other thing is I know all about like Spotify levels and iTunes levels and all that stuff, and getting it on the service so it sounds good.
Right.
So like the mastering side of things is pretty much that final before it hits the mass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I do. So yeah, all kinds of services though, man. I've done forensic audio for court.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah, for counties and police departments and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So somebody wanting to get into engineering, they don't realize it's actually a lot deeper than just music.
It's a big field because I've been called in on so many things that I never thought I'd be called in on, where somebody like the forensic audio. It's like I'm listening to a iPhone that's buried in a pocket because something happened. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm trying to lift up and enhance and do that. But I've done audio for video. We did some trailer work with a gentleman out of California. I mean, so that was movies and soundtracks and recording. So yeah, if you get into audio, you got to be patient, and we'll probably talk about that, because it's not what people think it is, because it's a long road.
Right.
But once the opportunities start happening, it's a blessing to me. It's been a blessing to me, and I've been able to fortunately stay doing this.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you said long road.
Yeah.
Because here recently, it's really been on my mind about how it's so important to stay the course.
Yeah.
Like I know that. I've heard that, but recently I've really embraced that in my life
Yeah.
Through my own endeavors, because it's not about, oftentimes it's not about talent. It's not about,
right.
It's just about not giving up.
Right.
You know, it's just about not giving up and who's going to continue to go. And sometimes it's not about continuing doing the same thing. It's about how to upgrade yourself, how to manifest through different portals, how to, you know, like me, I'm a hip hop artist, but you know, now there's a company, Boss Code Media Group, and you got the magazine and the clothing and I mean, all the things, because I believe that, you know, God gives you gifts to multiply those gifts. You know, and I believe you're on the same page. We talk about stuff like that.
Yeah, all the time. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Man. And I just know Ryan Highsall, he introduced me to you.
Yeah.
Back in, man, what year was that?
You know how he found me? I was selling something.
I remember. It was on eBay,
yeah,
right?
I was selling something.
Yeah.
And he asked me. Yeah.
Yeah. And because he met you, you two became friends. And now we've been friends since at least 2000 and, I don't know, 10 or something like that. Yeah. You've done a lot of work for me. And I love the fact that we've been able to build a friendship through our paths. That's another great thing about being on that path to greatness, you know?
Yeah, it sort of makes me want to think about, as you're talking about that, it's a relational business. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize that when they first get into it. Right. You know, because if you're going to get creative with somebody, it's like an intimate thing, man. This is like your art. This is what you do. Right. But you also said something that made me think about this, that a lot of people get challenged right away when they start doing this. They're not making money. They're not doing these things. And they feel like that's a personal thing on them. Yes. And man, it really destroys a lot of people because they think, well, am I not good at this? And it might not be that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we're all getting better. But that's something that I've learned and I wanted to talk to you about on this interview, is like how hard it is to stay going, stay on the course because of like the financial side of it, or life happens. You know, you got people saying, well, you're going to get a job, you're going to do this. Exactly. And you just feel it in your heart. If this is what you feel like you're called to do, you just got to keep going. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. It's funny because I talk to my wife often and other people about the transitional period of life, right? Yeah. People don't realize to get to success, there's a transitional period, because they look at all these overnight celebrities. And, or they look at celebrities and they assume everything was overnight. Right. But they don't realize, like, okay, I could blow up in music tomorrow, right? Right. And people would think, oh, it happened so fast. Like, no, I've been doing it. I've been writing music since I was 11 years old. Well, and you're one that knows you put in a lot of work. You put in a lot of time. You consistently do stuff. You're consistently doing something. And it's like, that's the kind of person it takes. Right. But when you don't get the results, you got to keep going. Yeah. And it's like, it's so hard. And so many people I know of that are like, oh, I'm just going to go do something else. Yeah. And
then that something else doesn't work out. Yeah. And then they go do something else. Yeah. Next thing you know, they're working. Right. You know, somewhere they don't want to work just because now they just got to go make money. Yeah.
And then they get miserable. Yeah. And then they don't want to do this anymore. And, and I've just been very fortunate. Like I said, we talk about that too. Like, I've been a blessed person. Thank God that I get to do this every day, even though it's hard. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even though there's struggles, it's always like it seems to work out. Yeah. And I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, it's not always a fair journey, but it's worth it.
Right. Right.
You know?
Builds you up.
Exactly. Yep. So the success and suffering. Yeah. What would you categorize? How would you describe the let's start with the suffering aspect of things, because the suffering comes before the success. So let's just talk about the suffering of success. What would you say some types of suffering that you've had just in your endeavors, in your life, just trying to find yourself, just trying to find this business, creating that financial freedom where you don't have to go get a 9-to-5, and you can truly do what you love for a living. Because some people only see the reward. Yeah. They see that, oh, Doug gets to stay in the studio all day and mix music from all over the world. You don't get to do that. No. You worked to do that. Right, you know. Right. So let's speak about some of the suffering on the road that got you here.
Yeah, I think the suffering was learning, because you remember when I was joking about that pastor that came up to me? Yeah, yeah. And he said, I was helping my brother-in-law and all these things, and I was just a miserable dude. And the suffering with me was like, people didn't realize how much time I was spending doing this and getting better and working on my craft, because this is the thing, you got to get good at what you do.
Yes.
Because it's like, what do you think? I just popped out and I was good at it? Like, I was like constantly working on it, but then I'd go to a job, and this pastor came up to me one time and he goes, you playing farmer again? You know what I mean? And, and it was like that moment, I'm like, this isn't what I do.
Because he knew exactly where you wanted to be and where you should be.
Yeah, and you start to realize, like, wow, you're doing all these things that other people want you to do. Like, and I love my dad, I love my parents, and I thank them for everything they've done, but he grew up as a businessman.
Right.
Okay, so the first thing that like, people go, what are you, like, you crazy?
Right.
What are you doing? Like, that's what people do in New York. Yeah, music. Like, you're not going to get paid for that.
Right.
And a lot of people see it as this hobby, and I think a lot of the suffering came when the money doesn't come in, and you almost have that, you know, I told you I was right. You know, you screwed up. Now, like, go get a job.
Even if they're not saying it, you hear that in the back of your head.
You do. That starts weighing on you. And I see so many artists that struggle with this, that they're like, okay, I'm not making the money I should, and I'm not. And you see people around you. So the suffering for me was seeing people growing up, and they were like getting married and like having kids. And then I go to like a class reunion, and I'm like sitting in a studio isolated, feeling like this is what I do.
Right.
And it just, for years, man, it just seemed like it's not paying off. You know what I mean? But it, like, something deep inside me was like, this is what you do.
Right.
Okay. And then there was great people in my life that would like alleviate that suffering. You know, they say, no, keep going. Like my grandpa, before he passed away, he was like, man, just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? So it was like people could see something. So there was a lot of encouragement too. But I will say that was the hardest suffering. Like, you feel like you're putting in all this time and nothing's paying off.
Nothing's paying off.
Yeah.
For me, it's like the constant investments, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're making money, and you start looking around at and over the years, you like you can be living move to move sometimes because your money is tied up in investing in your dreams.
Right.
And it's like, man, if I didn't have these dreams, I'd be
something else. I'd be at a nicer place. I'd be doing this.
I wouldn't have to be worried about investing in this and hoping money comes back. Because I mean, over the years, I've dumped thousands and thousands into music and the company and everything else. And it took years to see those seeds to become fruitful. Yeah. You know? Yeah. But that's just how it works. Sometimes it does happen fast for some people. But you also see those people burn out and sizzle out. You know, those people go out in Hollywood and all of a sudden they're big and then you never hear them again. You know, like that's not the type of success we're signing up for. Right. You know, me personally, I'm not motivated by being rich. Right. I'm motivated by the impact that I can have on society, on the world. Now, that's not how I always thought. No,
and you're saying something I'm about to say about myself. Yeah. That'll kill you.
It will. Because growing up young in hip-hop, it's like the animal kingdom. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to stick your chest out. You got to show up to a show with a stone face. Yeah. And I'm the best at walking that show. I'm the best on stage. And I used to carry that attitude because I thought that's what I thought it was about. Yeah. You know, but it's not. It's about just to me, it's about, with my music, with Boss Code, it's about how can I shine? How can I let the light shine through me while I'm here on earth to benefit people? Yeah. Me making millions of dollars benefits nobody but me and a handful of family members. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, and suffering, you say that, like, a lot of my suffering was self-inflicted. I'll take some ownership for myself, like pride and wanting to be more than I was at the time. And just what it does, it isolates you from people and you get bitter. A lot of people get bitter. I know one of my good friends, Freddie, you know him, and his dad said, man, a lot of the musicians and stuff, they get bitter. Like, watch what you do, because you can get around those people and the bitterness is just this self-inflicted wound. Yeah. It's like, I ain't where I need to be.
Resentfulness.
Yeah. And you learn so much, and that's why I love what I do. And you probably love what you do, because it's a constant building up. But early on it was me controlling a project. It's not going to control. It's like, let's work together, you know?
Yeah.
Me being proud of like, you see what I did? And it's like, man, move on.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I guess you get a little older, a little more, I would say wisdom. I don't know. But
yeah, it's wisdom.
Yeah, and you just go, okay, I need to calm down and help other people. So part of my business is learning that, by the way. Okay. Like, I want to help people.
Yeah,
I really do care about your project.
Oh, I've always felt that way.
Yeah.
Instantly working with you.
Yeah.
I knew I was in good hands, you know?
Yeah.
Just based off the conversations we would have, common ideas about life, about faith, about things of that nature. I was like, okay, this is... that's why I like recording with you. Like, some studios I won't go into, and if I do go to, I tell them I want nobody else in there. I want no random people popping up while I'm in the studio. I don't want that energy.
You want that positive.
Yeah,
I'm here for... And that's the thing. It's genuine. It's like, I don't know. I would say that's part of my faith. I really would, because it's like, I'm genuinely, okay, so if you came in with your project, like, you're not just a number. You're not just like another business connect. You're a person. Exactly. And you have a project, and I really care about you.
Right.
And like, if I'm having a hard time figuring it out, like, I want you to know, it's like, okay, I'm trying to figure this out for your benefit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've learned that I genuinely care. This is a business. That's why I said it's a relational business. Right. And you learn how to care for people. Right. That's what I've done. You know, at first I was like, man, you know, like, next person, you know, I'm trying to make money.
Exactly.
And it was like, no, that's not what we're here for.
Right.
You know, so, yeah.
And that was one thing you always preached to me.
Yeah.
That I learned over the years, seriously. Like, you started telling me this in like 2013 about just let go of money. The idea of it.
Yeah.
You know, let go of the fact that, oh, I don't want to spend this because this might happen, or oh, I don't want to do this because this might happen, or oh, I want to pay this person the bare minimum, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that I was truly like that, but you made me realize that I was like that in aspects. Like,
and we all are to an extent.
Yeah,
we really
for
are.
sure.
And I'll shout out some guys that I've been working with, some of the guys that own businesses. They'll know who they are if they watch this. But they taught me about money. Right. You know, they give freely. They live that way, though.
Right.
That's the way they live. Yeah. And it's like, this ain't just like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you start going, wow, they have a lot of success because they're that way, and they care about people. Right. And then it seems like it's all worked out in their lives. But I don't know your path as much as I don't even know my path.
Exactly.
But it seems like that's been the thing that I've learned success is to put others before yourself. Yeah. And it's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's a constant battle, especially with like most musicians I know. You have to be about yourself. Right. Yeah. Because that's the image. That's what you're doing. Exactly. But to be able to make it about others as well, I think it's made me more at peace, more joyful in what I do. Yeah. Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of joy in giving. Yeah. So that's what it is.
It really is.
You know what I mean?
I feel like life is short. And it might feel good to have all that money when you're alive and healthy. But at the end of the day, Lord willing, this isn't for a long time when we're on our beds and we're dwindling down. We're not going to think about the money we made. We're going to think about the impact we made. Right. We're going to think about the smiles we made. That's the stuff that truly matters. That money is going to sit there and somebody might spend it like a fool when you die. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's all about the impact you made while you were here, you know?
And you could lose it tomorrow. Like, you just reminded me, I was talking to my buddy, he's a general manager at Mercedes. Mm-hmm. And he called me up and we were talking about sales staff. And we were talking about that process. Yeah. And he's like, you know, he's made enough. He's already made enough. He doesn't care about that anymore. But we started talking about how the sales staff needs to be honest. Right. And the conversation went to that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was like, okay, all that other stuff would be added on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, work on that, honesty and integrity. And that's what he was showing the sales staff. And he wanted to start a business, and he probably will. But that would be it, be in consultation to some of these dealerships.
That's actually dope. Because,
so the sales.
You know, I worked in car sales for a while, and I pride myself in always being honest. You know what I mean? I mean, there were some times I put my salesman hat on if I know I can
quality.
Make more money. Yeah,
that's a quality.
You know, go ahead, man. As far as like just lying to people, and you just get more out of people if you just are truthful, show them what they came to see. Yeah. And if they can get it, they can get it. If not, they can't. You know.
Well, you've ever since I've known you, you've been honest. You know what I mean? You're straight with somebody. That.
Yeah.
And that's a quality that, I think you take for granted if you live that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And sadly, you start expecting everybody else to be that way.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen.
This brings me back to some suffering in my life, right?
Yeah.
So this was huge for me, and I'm often still jaded about this.
Yeah.
And I work on it, and I pray about it, I meditate about all the things. Yeah. Like, what was really hard for me was so when I first started in music, I always felt like I wanted to be very loyal to those around me.
Right.
Those that I would do music with, and
right.
We'd sit up and we talk about what we wanted to do and this and that, and it got to the point where, I realized that nobody felt the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
maybe a handful.
I had a lot of that too.
Yeah, because you go, okay, because I'd always set up my own shows. That's how I wanted to get paid. So I set my own shows up.
Right.
On tours, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And I'd bring people with me,
right.
who never said thank you.
Yeah, that's tough.
Who some of them don't even, who badmouth me for some reason. I've only done good for them. You know what I mean? Like, or they stop showing up when you stop moving.
Yeah.
You don't hear from them anymore. And then they see you post that you're doing something. They're in your inbox again. It's like that type of stuff burns me,
Yeah. It's hard not to be cynical when you do something when you didn't do anything wrong.
Yes.
That's a hard thing to get over.
Exactly.
When all you did was good and all you did was nice and somebody stepped on you.
And that's not to say I was perfect. Maybe I had the wrong approach with some people. Yeah. Maybe they didn't know how to take how I was. I was always, not always, but I'm often a very intense person. And some people can't handle my level of intensity.
Right.
I can't say that's why things happen that way.
Right.
But like, I remember just getting multiple shows for people, taking them on the road, doing this, cutting them in on this, helping them invest in this, doing this, and then nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I remember doing songs with people that I was helping, and I come back and hear that song, and they took me off the verse. They took my verse off, so it became a thing where it was weird, man. It became this thing where
you get bitter.
Yeah.
Well, I've had people I've done albums for, and I started to learn this. It's like I've done bigger albums for like bigger companies.
Yeah.
And what would happen is like I would say, hey, I was all excited. Like I did this and I'm going to do this album. It was like somebody that everybody knows.
Right.
And then they would have like one guy touch that album like really quick, and then he'd put his name on it.
Right. I
was like, come on, man. I'm like, seriously? Yeah. So like I learned like either I'm going to keep getting bitter because I live where I live and I love the work that I do. So I had to literally get over that.
Right.
Because it was tearing me apart. And I understand that pain because you're like, especially when you're doing so much for somebody, like I'd go like above and beyond on that project. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it's like, man, I spent like 15 hours on that. And like, now they're just sorry. You know, just, sorry, buddy. But yeah, I feel your pain, man. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it just life teaches you. And one thing I also learned is oftentimes you got to be grateful for that stuff because you don't want to find success surrounded by people who don't really love you.
No.
Like I could have blew up during that time around those people.
Yeah.
And then what? You know what I mean? Yeah. I found out a harder way that they don't have no love for me. And my other...
they weren't there for the right reason.
Yeah. It's like they weren't there to riding away because things were working out.
Well, you're talented. I mean, you're a talented guy, and it's like, and I've said since I've known you, you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Vocals. Every time I work on your stuff, it's like I'm like, I mean, this stuff's nice, man. I mean, it's strong, it's powerful, and I relate to it. And then I'm thinking, I feel what you're saying because you got such a drive in you that it just seems like, are these people even here for the right? Are they here because they want to be here?
Exactly.
So, but it's hard when you treat somebody kindly and they just sort of like step on you.
You know what?
And that's tough. I and I probably did that in my past to somebody somewhere.
I'm sure I did too. Yeah.
But when it happens to you, man, that stuff hurts. And that's why I try to treat people with the highest respect, and I don't want to hurt anybody. You know? But when you live that way, you're gonna get hurt.
Exactly.
That's what I've learned. Yeah. It's like you're like the sacrificial lamb.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it's funny on the way here, something hit my mind. It was like, okay. All my years trying to build a team, I was asking people if they wanted to win.
Yeah.
I should have been asking them if they wanted to work.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
hey, like-mindedness.
Yeah.
Too. You got to have the same goal. Like you said, you want to reach people, which that's a great goal.
Yeah.
If you just want to get rich, that's a bad goal.
Exactly.
Because you're never going to have enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, I'm living and learning every day. But I think what I'm thankful for is getting my mind right in that, and getting my mind right to the point where it's like, okay, I'm really here to do a service to help others.
Right.
And I've worked on like Christian albums to country albums, to hip hop albums, to EDM albums.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's funny because they all have their own little like quirks, you know what I mean? Like the EDM dudes are like, it's gotta be perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And then the hip hop dudes are like, man, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, let's get it done.
Man, it's so funny you said that, because I did and you remember this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say the song or whatever because it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But I worked with the EDM vocalist out of the UK.
Yeah.
Remember, she was so detailed about hearing certain things in the song, and she kept asking to remaster. And finally, I was like, "Look, there's nothing wrong with the song," because she was used to doing EDM music. It's funny you said that. I just remember that.
Well, I gotta shout out this dude, Bad Boy Dave Marco. He's like, this guy. He owns a business. He's a successful man. And he told me one time, he goes, because he was like going in New York City and passing out demos, and he had a record deal, and I mean, it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And he said, man, it's crazy how much time a lot of these artists like push around the small stuff.
Yeah.
And then like 3 years later, and this guy's done, like, since I've known him, Dave, he's done 18 albums, I think, or 20 albums. Yeah.
Since you've known him.
Yeah, since I've known him. And I was like, and we always talk about that. We'll go out to lunch, and he's like, yeah, like you can sweat the small stuff and you never turn it out.
Yeah.
It's like, just, and I think the better you get at what you do, like when you come in, you just record and you're done.
Man, I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah.
Because I know the small details are going to be are going to be fixed in the mastering process and all that. But, and I know a lot of people over the years who are so detailed that they never complete a project.
Yeah.
They never complete a project. It has to be perfect. No, it doesn't.
That's a dagger.
That's
part of my job, by the way. My job is to push you. Yeah. Like, to get you to say, let's go. Yeah. Like, you're fine. It sounds good. Like, guys will come in and they'll be like, well, I heard a click at, 2 minutes and 15 seconds on that second
Nobody
chorus.
Else is
it's like,
that.
Huh?
Right.
He's sitting in his bed with his headphones on.
What was that?
This is the 75th time I've listened to this. It's
right.
Like, oh, heard that.
Right.
And then he finds out later it's his headphones.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying, and I'm not here to make fun of somebody.
No,
like
it's true though.
But I'm here to help somebody with that, because you get because it's you.
Yeah.
You get neurotic with your own self,
right.
and then you start going, well, is this good enough, or is this good enough? And like the professionals, like Freddie, I talk about Freddie, and you know Freddie.
Oh yeah.
He's such a great guitar player. He'll just like play it, and he's like, nah, I could do better. Like he'll know, but then he'll do it, and he's not worried about it, and he's on to the next thing. So the better you get at what you do, the less that happens.
Exactly.
It's really crazy.
Yeah.
The less headaches.
It's funny. One of the advantages we have is we started really young, because every day I was in a room full of friends in high school making music. You know what I mean? Like, we're just pumping out tracks.
Yeah, you're like, here it is.
Like, okay, we don't care how they sound, just pump them out.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you start at a later age, then you feel like things have to be perfect, or it could be a personality trait too.
Think about it this way, Desmond. If you worked for a boss, you at that point become the boss.
Yeah.
Would you work for a boss that was constantly negative?
No, not at all.
That's what happens as an artist.
Yeah.
You become like your own worst
critic. And then you don't even want to do it anymore.
Yeah, you just talked yourself out of the room.
You know what? This is too much for me. I'm just going back to the factory.
I think that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's more the attitude that drives people away from their own projects.
Yes.
Like, oh, this isn't good. This isn't good. This isn't good. You think about that, what you're saying to yourself. Imagine if that was like your boss at work.
Yeah.
Hey, this ain't good. That ain't good. This ain't
telling
good.
Yourself that?
You'd be gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So you end up kicking yourself out of the studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
And think about it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. It's powerful, right?
Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing about the suffering aspect is that I know I said it a little bit earlier, but that transitional period is so important. That transitional period is where you find you find out where faith is, where patience is, where resilience is.
Yeah.
And you have to find those things to get to the next level. And some people, soon as they start being faced with pressure, they go back to what's comfortable. And that's why some people stay in bad relationships. People stay at bad jobs. People don't build businesses because they're afraid of the transitional period, that time and space where things don't feel good, things feel ugly, things are a little rough. You know, they don't want that. They want, okay, you know what? I'm going to go back to what I know because I wasn't lonely. I wasn't lonely at least I wasn't lonely when I was in this relationship. Or at least I had a check when I was at this job. Or at least I had a check when I wasn't trying to invest in my dreams. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to pass that test. Like, forget that overnight success stuff. Pass that test.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's the thing. Like, you know, I'm a man of faith, and I talk to you about a lot about that. But it's like, I don't know how somebody could even do this without that. Because like I've been put in positions where it's like, how much do I need? You know what I mean? Or I needed something for a job, and it's like always came through. But it's like, it does teach you patience. If you're going to do something you really love in life, it's going to teach you patience. And I'm not saying I'm the poster child of it, so don't take this wrong. But I am saying that, like, there's been times where I'm like, this would be a lot easier to do something else. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's not fun. And there's so much behind it. It's not just making your song better. It's like, you know, invoicing and talking to people on the phone and all the after hours stuff you don't see in the websites and in the YouTube channel, because I do a YouTube channel. And it's like all this stuff, like when that
people will never see. Never know.
When that's not panning out, it's easy for me to go, you know, poor me. Like, this is horrible. You know? And so to get on that topic, it's like, it teaches you patience, it teaches you trust. It teaches you honesty. It teaches you to get up and say, hey, I gotta go do this.
I gotta go do this.
Like you coming out here. I mean, it's the same thing. You didn't have to do that.
Man, I stayed up to about 5 a.m. pressing shirts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you have a goal. You have a goal. And I just feel like when stuff ain't working out, it's so easy to say, you know what, forget it.
Yeah, we're done here.
Yeah. So
let me just go back to get. You know what? And I'm not gonna lie. I had some moments because I had some moments when I've said stuff like that. You know what? Let me just go do this. My wife, and I'm blessed to have a wife the way I do. She'll be like, why? She can be miserable again. Like, you know, looking for quick fixes. Oh, let me just go get this. This good job over here. My resume is tight. You know what I mean?
And here's the thing I got to add. Like, in our case, it's artist and engineer and studio and all that. But it could be that with something else. It doesn't have to be that. It could be like you just feel like in your heart you want to do this certain thing. But you know, I do believe that God puts people in positions to get a job in a different place and use this.
Sure,
So it's not always that, but I think in my personal life, and I think it would be yours as well, it's like, this is what I do. Like, I can start doing other things. I feel like a fish that like does not have water. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, because you just doing anything.
I feel miserable. So I wanted to put that in there if people watch this and go, well, wait a minute, I got a good job. And I think some people, that's what you were called to do, you know? But in my case, I felt like if I stopped doing this, I would be the most miserable dude ever.
Oh, that's the first thing I would tell people is to find a job that's going to feed your dream.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I didn't know, because I jumped in on this and I was like, man, there's other people that job is the perfect thing for them.
Every job I've ever had has fed my dreams.
Absolutely.
The only reason I say that now is because I've made decisions to align my life up certain ways to make business work. You know what I mean?
And you put the time in. So I guess what that meant is like, you can't dabble in this.
When it comes to time.
Like, I'm going to dabble in this a little bit. You've always been it.
Exactly.
That's what I meant by that.
And when it comes time to release yourself from somebody else's dream and do your own, that's what I'm talking about. Because it's a blessing that somebody had a dream and has somewhere you can go and work. That's a blessing. That's what we're called to do, to create opportunities for people. Because I want people to come work for me one day. You know what I mean? That isn't a bad thing to have a job and to work for people. But if you're at a point where, or need to release, you have to have the faith and make that release and walk on and take that.
Agree with that.
Yeah, because I'm glad you cleared that up, because I never want people to think that.
I just thought that as we were talking, because it's like, because it took a lot of years for me to get up to that point where I do this like full time. Like somebody could walk in here and be like, "You just do this full time?"
Yeah.
Like, wow, are you lucky? And it's like, no, I got a job too, man. It's just, I got to babysit myself.
Right.
Like I got to make sure that if somebody calls me to do something, I do it. And you know, so it's the same thing. It's still, I'm not like getting away with anything. Right. It's still
People
a
actually don't understand it's harder because you're not going to make money. You have to create money now.
True. Yeah.
And that's the first thing I learned when I ever took my first leap of faith.
Yeah.
You know, I have to create money out of thin air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With my services or whatever I provide or my music, or I have to create money. There's no check coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's a really big point for a lot of people to
stop.
And
it can be scary.
Yeah, it's like, no safety net?
Yeah. Man, there was a time where I had an office downtown, a boss code office downtown.
Yeah.
And I was still working at the car dealership, which was dope because I was, once again, working at the dealership allowed me to have an office downtown and all these things. So, yes, go get you a job to invest with, but know when it's time to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I say that to say, I took a leap of faith. You remember that summer I walked away from the dealership and just did the magazine. Man, you want to talk about a wake-up call? That was
struggle.
We want to talk about suffering? I've never suffered the way I suffered.
I remember
that summer.
I actually remember you were. Yeah, I remember talking to you.
Yeah, and it works. Like, it works.
I
would go 2 weeks without making some money, then boom, I make $1,000 in one day. It was like you had to have that faith.
Yeah,
you had to have that resilience to know that it's coming. Sometimes you might spend a week planting seeds.
Yeah.
Before you make, and you might
nothing comes. And you
go,
okay, this ain't good.
Yeah, you might not.
I remember talking. What's funny? I remember talking to you at those times. And you're like, man, this is struggle. And
it was horrible.
Like, you don't even know what just happened, dude. Yeah. Some guy came up and said this and this, and they're working on this article, and he's gonna do. I was like, man, that's great, man.
Man, yes, man.
Yeah, so it was cool.
Yeah, I definitely found my faith. I'm like, look, God, I need X amount of money by tomorrow. Because I need to pay this, I need to pay that.
Yeah.
And man, I tell you, I woke up one day and everybody bought from me. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I think if you feel like this is what you're supposed to do, I think it is hard. Don't let me kid you. I still have those moments all the time.
Me too.
I'm like, am I? Should I do something else, or should I add something to my resume?
Right.
And it's like, you know what I mean?
Should I go detail my resume a little bit?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it's like right after me doing this and this and this, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. It's like somebody comes in, calls me, and wants a song mastered or a song mix, and I'm like,
somehow it works out.
Yeah, it always does. And I'm very fortunate to everybody. If you're watching this, and if you've done music with me. If you worked with me, I'm very appreciative of what you do because it helps me. Because if you're not there, I don't have any work.
Yeah,
you know.
For sure.
So if I can be a benefit to your business, it's the best thing that's possibly can happen. And the relationship side, I gotta say that, man. The relationship side is key.
Yeah.
Because you build these relationships with people and you start to know the person and you get to understand them and their business. And because if you're an artist, you're a business.
Yes.
You may not even know that.
Right.
But I've worked with record labels and I've worked with independent artists that are just like, okay, it's just me.
Right.
It's still a business, but you got to like actually see it that way.
Exactly.
You know, but yeah, it can be rough, man.
Another important thing is oftentimes people think like networking and keeping connections is, okay, I know who to call when I need something.
Yeah.
No, like me and you, we'll call each other just to check up for 10 minutes.
Check
like,
up,
hey, how you been? We might have a 10-minute conversation or an hour conversation. Like that's how you have to treat your relationships, you know?
This ain't, I'm going to say it, this ain't Walmart.
Right.
You don't just like call and you need this, and this. This isn't a retail business.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people totally get off on the wrong path like that.
Right.
They'll call me and be like, well, how much for mixing and mastering? And it's like, well, who are you?
Right.
You know what I mean? I've never even met you.
Exactly.
Like, what are we doing?
What do you want? What do you need?
Yeah, what kind of, are we doing this? Are we doing that? Let me get to know who you are.
Right.
And when that doesn't happen, I really don't feel like I'm doing a good job.
Right.
Because I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're about. I don't know what kind of music you like, what triggers you that I got to avoid, you know, all kinds of stuff. So it's a very sensitive. A lot of artists, the people that I've worked with through the years are emotional. Yeah. Because I think you're built that way on purpose. Yeah. Because you can't write if you're not emotional, if you don't feel stuff. So like people think that I don't get it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You don't get it, man.
Like, oh, this guy don't get it. You don't get my vision. Oh, trust me, I get your vision.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, you're an emotional person. You got something to say. There's something that's been laid on you, and you have a goal in mind.
Yeah.
And that's that you're creating a product. You're not buying a product.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
one thing that woke me up is when I first started doing a magazine. You know, I've just talked to people, places, things, artists. Hey, when I buy ad space,
Yeah.
I remember one time I finally changed my approach.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
Yeah.
X amount of years. Oh, how do you feel about your music? Like really asking about who they were and what their best song was and what do they feel they need help with. And you know what? I remember he bought ad space. He said, a lot of people always ask me to buy promotion, but nobody's ever asked me about me before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he bought on the spot.
Yeah.
You know, and it showed me like, you know what? And me as an artist, trust me, I get it.
Yeah.
We're so used to being nickel and dime for everything. We got to pay everybody.
Yeah, and you can get bitter.
Yeah.
Big time.
As an artist, look, you got to pay.
And you got right to. You have a right to get bitter. Like, come on, man.
Right. You got to pay.
Yeah.
You got to pay for the beat. You got to pay for the recording, the mixing, the merchandise, the everything, the promotion.
Right.
At some point, you just want somebody to say, "Hey, how's life?"
Yeah, like how you doing?
Yeah. How's your career going?
And what's the thing? What's happening?
What's happening? Yeah.
What's happening, man?
Right. Like, just talk to me for a minute. Ask me about a song. Like, I cannot stand. This is the style of marketing I hate too. People hit you up like, "Hey," they'll hit you up with some scripted message on Instagram or email. "Hey, heard your music. I love it. We'd love to help you promote." Oh, you know what I say back to them? What song did you like the best?
That's what I say.
Yeah, if you can't tell me that, get out of my email.
Yeah, it's one-sided. You start to realize that you can definitely see if something's genuine or something's fake. And all the great people in my life, they really care about people.
Yeah, and if it's business, I don't need you to fluff me up. Tell me how much. Tell me how much. Yeah, let's get to the point. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it is I think any business, if you want to be successful at this business or any business, people matter.
Yeah.
You know, the money, I think that's a byproduct of the relationships.
People matter,
and treat people like you want to be treated.
Yeah.
But we can get blinded. You can get blinded, and I'm not saying if you're this person, you can get blinded by the fact of me.
Exactly.
Because it is a me business.
Right.
Like it's your product, you're this. Same with me.
Right.
So, but it's, I would say that's what's kept me longevity-wise in this.
Right.
You know,
Recently, one thing that's helped me is to, once again, to let go of the thought of money. If I'm moving every day and I'm not even thinking about how much money I have, what I'm making, it's easier for me to stay focused, stay positive. If I start counting this and counting that and I need more of this,
dwindling.
So I'm thankful that I'm in a place spiritually, mentally, emotionally, where it can be just about the process.
Yeah.
I still have my days. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I'll thank my dad on something. He said to me one time, he said, every time he tries to make money, he never makes money.
Yeah.
And every time he quits trying to make money, he actually makes more than he needs.
Right.
So it's like, you're focused on the wrong thing. Like,
right.
But it's hard when you don't have anything and you got a bill coming up or you're struggling. And it's to this day I still do that. I don't think I'll ever change that.
Right.
Until maybe one day where it just becomes financially, I'm just done.
Right.
Okay, I got everything I need.
Yeah.
But I don't think that ever happens. I don't think that goes away.
It's funny how that happens. It's funny because I got my biggest check as far as from a song when I wasn't even promoting it.
Yeah, I think you told me about that.
But all the songs I did promote and get behind and my Facebook promo and this, you know what I mean?
That's the key. It's so crazy. It's like, wow, this really happened. I didn't even know that was going to happen. Yeah. So I get what you're saying.
It's a big check for a song that you never promoted. That somebody used on YouTube in Korea.
So,
you know what I mean?
You're killing me because it's like, you're like putting all this time and all this Google ads and
all that stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So before we get out of here, let's just talk a little more about the success aspect. So through all the stressors, through all the struggles, all the suffering, what does success look like right now for you?
I think it would be just being at peace with what I do.
Right.
I feel like I'm not pushing. I'm not wanting. I've learned, I think success to me is learning what I've learned.
Right.
That it'll be provided.
Yeah.
But it's me that's want.
Yeah.
But that's my success. It's like, can I be even keel with people? And can I treat people kindly? And like we were just talking about,
right.
We're not pushing for anything. Now, in the case of my business and stuff, it seems like I'm always pushing to become better at what I do and better in find out, a new way to do this.
Just keeping your foot in the gas.
Right. So I guess I always said that, and it sounds so cliche, and I hope it doesn't sound cliche, but I read because I coach baseball and I work with my community, but a guy handed me a book, and it was Phil Jackson. And he was talking about working and coaching Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that book, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. So like when he dealt with Michael Jordan, he had to deal with him a little different than Horace Grant.
Yeah.
And Horace Grant, he said, man, he started finding himself. He was always like ripping on Horace Grant. He was always telling him, man, you need to do this and you need to do that. And he was like, when it came to Michael Jordan, he'd be like, no, you're cool, man, because you're Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But he learned something that this sports psychologist said. He said, the moral of this whole story is to stay focused with like a Michael Jordan, stay focused on the mastering of that skill. So when they kept focused on, because these are professional athletes, they can't focus on the scoreboard. They can't focus on the end result.
Right.
All they can focus is on the mastery of that skill.
Right.
And that's why you'll see like, and I noticed this after that book, I noticed this with like LeBron. I noticed it with like Kobe. I noticed it with all these guys. They were always talking about getting better.
Right.
And there you go. And that was an amazing thing to me, man. So that was just an amazing thing to me.
Staying better, staying tested, staying ready to go. That's real. Never get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm good.
Don't look at the scoreboard.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I never looked at the scoreboard. And so if I start looking at the scoreboard, I get miserable.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because you think, oh, this person's ahead, or I'm behind, or I'm ahead, I can let go of the gas, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, man.
Cool, man.
So there it is.
I like that. Any shout out your website. Tell people where they can find you.
The best place to find me is on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and just put my name in, Doug Jenkins.
Okay.
And it'll put you where you need to be if you want to get in contact with me, because a lot of videos are on there, and then you'll see my website and stuff. So nice. Yeah.
Now, and if an artist wants to get a song master, where should he go?
You can go imixandmaster.com, but that's with the letter N.
Okay.
imixandmaster.com, or just hit me up on YouTube, and all my stuff's there. My email, my website, my phone number, my business phone number.
Yeah.
You can just check that out. You can check out some videos if you want to get comfortable with what I do. And then if you want to call up and get something mixed and check it out, and mastered. If you want it. They're two different things. We can do that in a different video, maybe. But so I appreciate you coming out and doing this interview, man.
Awesome, man.
It's awesome to see you.
We appreciate you, man. Yeah. We appreciate you giving us the video. We appreciate everything you do. Yeah. And just thank you, man.
Yeah, and I appreciate everything you're doing, man. Your magazine, love it. You're always, you know what, man, I never tell you this, but I always talk about you with what you're doing. To other people, like I'll say, man, he's doing this. He's got shirts coming out. I was like, dude, like when a guy calls me, I'm not kidding you, like an artist, what can I do to get out there and stuff? I'll always bring you up. Always.
I appreciate that, man.
Because you're always pushing, and
Thanks,
I'm like,
man.
and I'll say, man, he's got his own energy drinks at one time. I'm like, dude,
I might put that out the back burner one day.
Yeah. And I was like, man, that's how you got to do it, man. And like I said, I appreciate you coming out here.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Well, that wraps up Boss Code TV, the Path to Greatness podcast. Thank you.
I didn't drink this once, man. My knee freezing.
And we'll have you on again. We appreciate you. Peace.
All right, man.
Always remember, it don't matter how your life started. It don't matter what you went through. You can get it all back. You can make it all yours. Stay hungry. Stay vigilant. Stay pushing forward. Go get it. Life ain't never been a fairy tale. You adapt or you live in hell.